Hello, everyone. This is Dawn with The Healer's Way, and we're here with another yoga interview. So, I'd like to introduce you to Meta Hirschl. And Meta's from Albuquerque, New Mexico, where she is the founder and owner of the studio YogaNow. She's also the author of an incredible book I've just had the privilege to start going through called Vital Yoga. It's a source book for students and teachers. And Meta teaches what she calls transformational yoga, and she's going to talk more about that, which is a integration and incorporation of a number of different types or styles of yoga. So, without further ado, Meta, thank you for being here with me today.
Thank you for having me, Dawn. It's great to be here.
Yeah, I'm glad that you're here, and I really love your book. Thank you so much for letting me have a look at it.
My pleasure.
I want to talk about that a little bit, but first, your story is so interesting to me because you really came to yoga kind of out of in the yoga world or in the alternative health and wellness world out of left field from a very left brain kind of serious profession. So would you just like kind of shortly summarize how did you get involved with yoga?
I got sick. I don't think I ever would. I'd probably be living in Manhattan as a partner in a systems firm or something, a consulting firm. But after the birth of my first child in 1987, I developed asthma. And I'd never had it. I'd been very robust health until that time. I was a pretty big partier. I always felt great the next day. Everything was beautiful. And I got sick, and they said, okay, now you've got asthma. The rest of your life, you'll have these medications you'll have to take, and basically nothing makes you feel good. That's what I really found. If there had been a pill I could take, I'd probably take the pill.
Wow.
But nothing really worked. Nothing really felt good. So I embarked in about 1988 on this lifelong, turned out to be decades-long journey to health. And a lot of things were along the way, but yoga was the real glue that allowed me to find this great, robust health. So the asthma that I developed, it turned on a gene after pregnancy. I mean, who knew that could even happen? I thought if you didn't have it, you weren't going to get it. And I just began to search in every way I could, and yoga has been the real path for me.
Wonderful, wonderful. And would you talk a little bit now about the principles of how you've really gone in depth and studied yoga and the background of yoga quite a bit, and you've kind of created your own styles. Would you tell us a little bit about the 7 different teacher trainings and transformational yoga that you do?
Basically, I learned. I've always been interested. I'm a book reader. I love to learn. And what I found when I began to understand sort of what the big picture of yoga was, that it's the tantric movement that was maybe the 4th to 9th century, where what's good is what works. That's the great thing about tantra that I love. It's like it's an experimental practice, and that's really the way I live my life. So I tried all of these different kinds of yoga. Every single kind of yoga I've ever taken has good things in it. Every single kind. And some don't. Some don't work as well for me. So over the years, I did a teacher training of Iyengar and Scaravelli and all different kinds of yoga. I would just take from all of these different kinds of yoga the things that actually made me feel better, that actually transformed my life. And if that worked for me, I find that my students it works for. That's my big test. I'll try most things. But if it doesn't work, even if your idea is great, it's not an intellectual practice. It's a practice. So, okay, you say this principle of alignment is great. Okay, I'll try it. If it works, terrific. I'll use it. If it doesn't work, I won't. And so I developed the practice, and that's really talking about the asana, the physical practice. But of course, yoga is so much more, and that's what I've really learned too, is the philosophy of how we transform our lives, certainly so that we can breathe and have health in my case, certainly so that I can overcome the asthma. But a large part of that was lifestyle. It's not just doing poses. It's how do we use our time? Who are we around? The great Hatha Yoga Pradipika says, keeping good company is one of the keys to success. So it's not just what poses we do, but how do we actually spend our time, and who do we spend that time with? And fundamentally, what do we spend our mind thinking about? Like, where does our mind go? What we put our attention on gets bigger.
Right.
So we got to be careful what we put our attention on. So when I say transformational yoga, I really mean in the biggest sense of the word. Like, to me, yoga can absolutely bring joy to our lives. And the joy isn't just because we wear cute clothes and do some yoga on a mat. That might be lovely. But ultimately, it's so much more than that.
Uh-huh. Thank you. Thank you. That sums it up so beautifully. Yoga is about yoking the spirit, and it's about bringing the life force to your whole life, and not just, like you say, putting on a nice little suit and doing a few poses. I just wanted to make a quick mention of your book. I There's a lot that I love about the book, and one of the things I love about it is you've got pictures in here of people of different ages and body types doing the same asana or pose. And I just wanted to ask you, what are some of the ages of these folks?
So we have three. We have someone in their 30s, in their 50s, and their 80s. So every single pose, that was a really important visual impact that I wanted to make in this book, because certainly the person in her 30s is very flexible and does beautiful big poses like on the cover of Yoga magazine. But I'm in my 50s and my friend Wyatt is in his 80s. Our poses are beautiful too. They're just different.
Yeah.
And that's not better. And also, even when I had the photo shoots for the pictures, I don't know if you can tell, but we're all in the same picture. We haven't been pasted together.
Yes.
Next to each other.
Yes, I can tell. Sure.
And that's not an accident. It was hard because the room had to be big and all that. But it's like the visual should say, I hope says, these poses are all beautiful. One is not actually better than the other. What's good is when we can all find our way. We're so in this culture, so about, competing and having to be externally validated, that we don't get that yoga is not that.
Yes, yeah.
Yoga is finding our own breath and our own connection to ourselves, and then through these poses, which you might call kind of some weird, some of them, and some of them I think are kind of weird, you kind of challenge yourself. And then when you challenge yourself, your mind goes a little crazy. That's a great time, because you can watch your mind in a very safe place, like on a mat, outside of your regular life, and do something that's challenging and watch your mind perhaps say, why are you doing this? Or, giving you a hard time. And then you can change that thought.
Ah, yes.
And that ability to watch your mind and choose what you're thinking about. Choose a loving thought as opposed to a violent thought. The first principle of yoga is nonviolence. The first way to use that, I think, is about ourselves.
With yourself, absolutely. How many times do we crack the whip on ourselves that we're not good enough? And yeah.
All the time.
Yeah. Well, this is beautiful. I'm sorry I have to wrap this up. I would love to do a whole series of just talking with you, but I want to say a couple things here. Your website is www.yoganow.org. YogaNow.org. And you have an offer for my Healer's Way people today, and thank you very much. You want to share what that is?
Yes. I'm so delighted to connect with anyone that's listening to the program. If you just email me from the website or at info@yoganow.org, you'll get a $5 discount off of my little DVD. It's called No Excuse Yoga. And I call it that because the people would talk to me, would say, I just can't do it. I say, you got 15 minutes? You got no excuse not to do yoga, because this is 15 minutes of yoga. So instead of $15, it's only $10, and you can get it as part of your listening to this show. And really my idea is, if you did 15 minutes at home 3 or 4 days a week, it would be actually better than doing one yoga class a week. Because when you can incorporate it into your life and do just a little all the time, you can really find enormous change. It's not just a gimmick, it's actually true. So I'm really encouraging you to consider, doesn't have to be this, but something every day to take care of yourself.
Great. Thank you so much for that. And that sounds wonderful. I'm looking forward to meeting with you again. And just again for our readers, this is Meta Hirschl from Albuquerque, New Mexico, YogaNow, and you can write her at info@yoganow.org or visit her site, www.yoganow.org. Meta, thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate your teaching and your sharing with my community.
Thank you for letting me speak with you, and I just want to send wishes for everyone out there that you go inside and really believe in your heart that you're so beautiful.
Wonderful. Thank you. Mwah.